How you guys doing? Josh here with Ohio Fish Rescue. So you guys seen this pond a million times before, but now it is almost in its full glory with all of the plants and all the critters that are in the pond now. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys another tour of this pond. So diving in here, you guys can see all the plants on the outside. We've got hostas here. We've got these ferns over here. We've got a hosta there. We've got this little Japanese maple plant. At least I think that's what it is. We've got this big cluster. This we put in as a small plant last year and it absolutely exploded. We've got some lilies back here. There's some awesome arrowheads right next to the filter intake. We've got more ferns back here. Here goes some variegated sweet flag and some irises. We've got a bunch of hostas back here with the little lover's lane back here. We're actually planted some more bulbs back here, which you can actually see some of them are starting to pop up here. These are hyacinths, which we know weren't going to do too well this year, but you can see some of them popped up and they bloomed. Well, next year, this whole back wall should be just covered in them, as well as this whole side. There's a different type of, I think it's called Crocus, and they're purple. So those are flowers that will come back each and every year. Over here, we've got this. This hosta is actually doing pretty amazing. This thing is just, look how big these leaves are. There it goes next to my hand. It just, I guess it got the right soil conditions for this thing to just absolutely just blossom. So we'll see how this does throughout the year. It hasn't started to bloom yet or flower, but let me go ahead and pan back over here. You guys can see the awesome waterfall up here. We got the filter intake cleaned out, so the pump is now running at full speed. You can see it's got cascading waterfalls a little bit up here, a little bit across the front, and we put these rocks up here to try and distribute the water column across the front of this rock. So you got crashing water here, all across the front, so you get the full effect, and it's also aerating this bog area pretty nicely. We've got some arrowheads over there, as well as these arrowheads over here, and then this lily right in the center is just absolutely crazy. Now, some of this stuff that kind of looks like carpet algae is not. This is actually a type of grass, which I don't exactly know what it is. I didn't really put it in here, but it's growing exceptionally well, and that's actually what's covered in algae. But it's keeping the nitrates low, and it's doing pretty well for us. We went ahead and kept some of the grass on the outside edges to go ahead and make this a soft scape. So it's looking pretty nice here. We went ahead and sprayed all this area where we don't want grass and we just want the mulch to grow, because as you can see, we did this whole scaping, which you guys seen before, but there was some grass that popped up through. I've been spraying it, keeping the ones that we want, and this is actually coming together pretty nicely. Now if you guys look, we actually started to outline that. I sprayed all that so all the grass is dying, and we got the same edging stone to match this as out there, so we can tie that tree in. And then if you guys look up here, this is actually a light post, so we have electricity out here, and I went ahead and sprayed this area. But this is probably a 6-7 foot round circle, and our plan here is to go ahead and rototill all this and then dig out for a big aqua basin, and we're going to put, you know, stacked slate urns and spheres right in this area from Aquascape. We're going to be purchasing them, so when you pull up you have a nice, you know, pondless water feature right here, because we already have the power out here. It's going to be lit, so I figured why not. That would look pretty nice. So coming back over here, you've seen these lilies are doing great. We have this area blocked off here, so all the water channels through here. Coming down to a fast stream, a small cascading waterfall right here, coming into a deep stream area where we have irises, we have sweet flag right there. Now in this pot we have the Amazonicus, the giant water lilies, We have 6 seeds in here that we're trying to start out, and we might leave some up here, and we're going to put some for the back koi pond, but we are just starting them out, so maybe a couple days we might see them starting to pop up here. And this was an old plant that died off, that's not really coming back. We've got some new growth on it, but I don't really have much hope for this plant. But you can see we have this bridge over there with the solar lights, and you can see we have the little walkway up. Now we put this horned owl here to try and, you know, ward off predators from coming in the water, and it adds a little bit of character to the pond. But over here, you know, we have the little Lover's Lane bench. Now we're planning on putting a bunch more big plants right here to try and block off this area, so you can't walk over the plants. So you just come back up here to sit on the bench. Now as you're sitting on the bench, you're looking out at this beautiful pond. There's lilies all over the top, and we've got a different type of lily right there. You can see we've got our first flower actually coming up right here. These are pink and white lilies right here. We've got yellow and red and orange. And my dad actually just went to Chicago, and Greg had given us this tropical water lily right here. He said it will come back each year. It is actually starting to flower. You can see the little tuber coming up right there. But I just think this lily right here looks pretty awesome. So we went ahead and repotted it in a bigger pot, and we put it in this pond for now. That one might come back out and go in the outside pond. So stay tuned for that one. So along with doing this pond up with plants, we tried to accent it. You know, Greg did all the stone work. We got all the plants in here to, you know, make it appeasing to the eye. But we also got, you know, select pieces of driftwood around here. This was one of my fish tank decorations, but it was confiscated for the front yard. We've got little turtle statues, which we actually have a few more on order that we're going to go ahead and add. You can see there's a little raccoon and a squirrel there. What else do we got? We've got the turtles there. That's actually a spitter, a fountain. And of course we've got the little otters around here. Of course you got your horned owl to ward off predators. And then this koi fish right here to spit water back in. And this little alligator fountain. So we were planning on hooking them all up to where we can have them on a separate pump on a little button. We can turn on the fountains and it would, you know, squirt water into the pond. But we are still going to hook up another little hose onto this one so it can draw water up from the pond and make this a water feature, a little waterfall coming down this rock, because that rock was just way too perfect to not have it a water feature. So give us a couple more weeks. When we get bored, we'll, you know, add that to the project list, and that will be happening. But there are a few more plants. We did some creeping jenny all around the edge. This was actually a weed, but it flowered purple, so I let that one stay. We've got more creeping jenny or golden moneywort here. We've also got some lilies over around this edge. And I think that's it as far as the plants go. Now we can go ahead and start talking about the fish. Now, fish that we have in this pond, we have our golden orphs, which we actually had in our koi pond out back. We went ahead and brought them up here, and they are super active. Those are them 3 matching gold with black speckle. There are some goldfish up here, as well as some shibunkin, and a few koi that were left in this pond. But this is mainly just, you know, goldfish and, you know, just the oddball fish pond. But there are some beautiful shibunkins in here that I've never seen coloring on shibunkin like this. But they, you know, sometimes look like koi, but they are shibunkins and goldfish. So there's actually one goldfish in here that is the largest I've ever seen. When we took her out to drain this pond and clean it, we measured her at 15.5 inches long. This was the largest goldfish I've ever owned and I've ever seen. Now I know they can probably get a bit bigger, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, that is the largest goldfish that I've seen. I'm trying to see her, but I think she's hiding right now. But it is starting to get to be sunrise or sunset around here, so they're starting to come out and play. And They're out picking at the rocks and eating a little bit. So the water is warm, so it is that time of year that you should start feeding your pond fish. So we do feed them a mixture of goldfish and koi pellets and, you know, different types of feed that we get from other, you know, places. We get our feed, you know, some are donations, some we buy from different distributors around the US. So basically this pond has been up and running now for 1 year. You guys have been with us along the whole journey. We're still making modifications to it. So if you guys do have some sort of suggestion that could make this pond better, go ahead and post that in the comments below. But I want to share with you guys a funny story that happened to me the other day. I come out and this pond, the waterfall, is actually not running whatsoever. So I'm like, oh God, what happened now? So I go ahead and I take apart this skimmer box. So here I went ahead and took off the cap for you. In here, this is usually a skimmer box. This is a tray that's removable. You can go ahead and take out all the debris. Then below here we have some mechanical media, and then down below is the Aquascape pump that we use to run this waterfall, which is actually 8,000 gallons per hour. And we come out and it was not running. So I go ahead and I take this all apart. You know, it's sometimes a pain to get to the pump down below. So I go ahead and dismantle everything. I take apart the union, and I come to find out that the Aquascape pump is, you know, just barely just pulsing, and the impeller's slowly moving. And I'm like, oh God, what happened now? I take the pump apart. I cannot figure out what's wrong with it whatsoever. So I call Greg. I'm like, hey bud, I'm gonna need a new pump for this, because his pumps are, you know, cut to the right size. So if I got a new pump, I wouldn't be able just to hook it right back up. So I was like, you know what, I need a new pump. Let me go ahead and just order the same pump that is running this pond, so I don't have to do no plumbing modifications or nothing like that. Well, the message ended up not being sent for some reason, so I got a temporary pump in here. I went ahead and rigged it all together and made this pump actually work. It was much slower. It was only 2,500 gallons per hour, but it at least kept the filtration running. So I go to pull the old Aquascape pump out, and under here is my controllers for it. I go to unplug it from the controller, and I realize someone kicked the power button, which I kick myself in the head, because I know better than this. I should have checked the power button, but I was seeing the pump move. The impeller was jumping and moving. So I was seeing it got power, but I forgot it's hooked up to a transformer, and it's getting a little bit of juice and power when that button's off, so you can go ahead and do pump maintenance. I went ahead and I flipped that switch back on. The pump hurry up and just zinged right back on. I just started laughing at myself, so I went ahead and I took that all back apart, put the pump back together, so I didn't need to buy a new pump. I just should have checked that the power was on, but I didn't think that somebody would come by and, you know, kick this, and, you know, they'd get this little power button underneath a little guard on the transformer, but somehow it happened. So I hope you guys got a little bit of a laugh out of me today. I wish I would have gotten it on video, but, you know, sometimes I'm doing work around here and I don't think to video. So I went ahead and told you guys the story, but the pump's back up and running and the pond is doing great. So I hope you guys got a little bit of a laugh out of my little story today, and seeing how far this pond has progressed. I should actually repaint this little bridge actually, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's a little bit more of a relaxing one, and seeing the update on this wonderful Aquascape ecosystem pond. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, stay fishy, my friends.